Hola, mis amigos, y bienvenidos a una lección sobre integridad académica. I'm happy to have this opportunity to talk to you about something I feel passionate about and something that is the key to success in every class you'll ever take, and that's academic integrity. This has always been an important topic in education, but today, with infinite resources available at our fingertips, I believe it's more important than ever. I want you to have a clear understanding of what resources and approaches you should take advantage of in my class, as well as the outcomes and consequences if you make poor decisions. So what is academic integrity? And on the screen here, you can see the definition of academic integrity according to the Lord Fairfax Student Handbook. And I'd like you to push pause and carefully read that statement. After reading the statement, you note that it addresses both academic integrity and academic dishonesty. Our aim is to build up the integrity and eliminate the dishonesty. If you engage in behaviors that show integrity, you will learn and grow as a student. If you engage in behaviors that show dishonesty, there are less pleasant results. So going into more specifics, here's what our handbook says about academic dishonesty. And I want you to push pause and carefully read this description as well as the consequences that follow it. As you see, this gives me some room for judgment as your instructor. Here is what I have done after careful consideration and experience with this topic. This is the same information you will find in our syllabus, but it's important enough to see it twice and to hear some explanation. So I'm going to go ahead and read it to you. At LFCC, we maintain the highest standards of academic honesty, and I take this topic extremely seriously. Cheating. This includes seeking or giving unauthorized help on any academic assignment. It also includes submitting work that was completed by someone else or work that was completed by an internet translator. You may use online dictionaries, but not online translators. You should use wordreference.com as your dictionary. But this use should not be frequent. It shouldn't need to be. Use your textbook. It contains what we have studied and what you are expected to produce. You are expected to use language structures consistent with your studies and experience. If your work is not consistent with the level of the course and your level of experience, thus indicating that it was done by an outside resource, you will receive a warning with a 0 on the assignment. The second infraction will result in an F in the course. Any cheating that relates to written or oral tests or exams will result in failing the course. Having another person check your Spanish work and give you feedback is cheating. Native speaker friends and family are great resources that you should enjoy conversation with. Take advantage of their help by talking with them in Spanish, but they should not be checking your classwork. They are not in our class and may not steer you toward what I have asked you to do. They definitely will not be by your side for your proctored midterm and final in a testing center. So you must practice thinking for yourself. Here's the deal, amigos. If you find yourself feeling the need to constantly look up words or use an online translator or ask native speaker friends for help, something's wrong. Remember, you should do every assignment from the Blackboard Learning module every week in the order in which I assign it. I will teach you everything you need to know. And from there, you should be communicating. Instead of writing a prompt in English and trying to translate it to Spanish, you should be flipping through your chapter and previous chapters, building your communication from what we have learned. I will teach you what you need to know. Isn't this fantastic news? If you have questions and are confused, let me know. I'm always here to help. So in short, your textbook book and wordreference.com, great, wonderful. Keep it up. Translators and well-meaning people from outside our class, bad idea, not allowed, and they could end up making your work much more difficult in the end. Yang. Plagiarism. This is defined as using another's words or ideas and representing them as one's own, either knowingly or unknowingly. In other words, by not documenting a source, one commits plagiarism. You can see the latest issue of the handbook for further questions regarding this topic. Misconduct in the area of academic honesty will result in a 0 on the related assignment or failing the course. It'll be one of those two outcomes, clase. So this decision is up to the instructor There's further information. These are important things to be keeping in mind. So why does it matter so much? What's the big deal? Why are we stopping when our course has barely started to have this conversation? And the reason is because it matters. It matters because learning matters. And this experience is about the value of your learning experience. You know, knowledge is power. And when you truly know something, you have power and control. And regardless of what other hardships you're dealing with in your life, by learning something, it can't be taken away from you, and you gain a little bit more power and control in your own existence. And I think that's a really positive thing. Another reason why it matters is because there are outcomes and consequences of dishonest behavior. One of them is distraction from our course material. If you get embedded in habits that do not involve our text and assignments, you'll end up focusing on skills that are not part of our course. I love stretching beyond and learning more, but first you need to learn the fundamental material in our class. I've designed the course to help you stay focused on our goals so you can be super successful, both in terms of your grade and the knowledge you'll take away. Another outcome is the effect on your midterm or final. If you are dependent on outside sources all semester, like translators and other people, what is going to happen when you walk into the testing center by yourself to take a proctored midterm or final with no outside resources? I think you can imagine the result. A lot of blanks and a very stressful experience. Your midterm and final are designed to measure how much you are taking away from the variety of learning activities we'll have. They are meant to measure how much you really know. Another outcome is the effect on long-term learning. You can't move on to the next level of language if you don't master the skills for this course. And finally, vigorous enforcement of the course policy. Amigos, I'm enthusiastic. I like to laugh and have fun, and I have a ton of patience with questions about Spanish. However, I have zero patience for lack of integrity. If I suspect that you are engaged in dishonest behavior, I will dedicate whatever time and perseverance is necessary to assure that justice is served, both for the sake of your learning experience and to be fair to your peers. This is definitely one topic I get fired up about, because learning, after all, is sacred. I think that one of the topics that must be addressed in studying a language in the 21st century is the use of online translators. They're so prevalent and they're readily available, but it's important to realize what it is that they lack. For one thing, they lack knowledge of what we are doing in our class. Only you, as a student in my course, know what we are doing. Carefully follow the given instructions. Make sure all the requirements have been met. Thumb through your book to include a variety of skills we've learned, and truly craft language that reflects the goals of our course. That's what you can do because you are in this course. Another thing online translators lack is critical thinking, including the ability to control and simplify ideas and structures. You know, I intentionally design activities that help me see your level of language skill, how in-depth your understanding goes, and to what degree you can control and simplify communication using what we have learned. No machine can replace those abilities. On the other hand, here are things that you have as a student. You have knowledge of what we're doing in class. You've read the syllabus. You can read up on the requirements for each assignment. You get my feedback after every assignment in the course. And these are key components of working successfully in any class you might take. You have critical thinking, including the ability to control and simplify ideas and structures. Just as a machine lacks those things, you have it. Isn't that awesome? The answers lie within you, so have the confidence to forge ahead. Even when you feel like you don't have the answers, I'm here to support you and help you find them. And when you're still unsure, pretend you know what's going on. That's half the battle in communication, right? That's what I've always found. So some common problems with online translations, and some of them can be pretty funny actually, which we'll get to later. But one is tenses and moods that we haven't studied. If you have knowledge of tenses beyond the scope of our course, you should be in an appropriate class. But if you're in Spanish 101 and whipping out the imperfect subjunctive on one assignment, but can't achieve basic subject-verb agreement in the presente in another, it's evident you're using an unauthorized resource. It's very easy for me to know that. Now, will I act immediately or just watch and document for a while? Well, you won't know until it's too late. So use your skills and your knowledge, and you'll actually get to practice what we're trying to learn. Another pitfall is literal translations from English that don't make sense to a sympathetic listener. A sympathetic listener is somebody like me, somebody who wants to understand. The good news is that I am a sympathetic listener and reader, and I want to understand you. I'm much more likely to understand you, though, than a non-human. Literal translations are really problematic. They happen a lot when students write something in English and then try to translate it to Spanish. Just bypass English altogether. I know that sounds crazy, but try to bypass English altogether and just work from the Spanish that we are learning. And this takes some time and practice, but it's totally achievable. And in the end, it's easier. Use what we're studying for all your assignments, and it will help you keep your communication controlled, meaningful, and accurate. And that's the idea. And now, to show you how fun this arena can be, I want to share with you some things that have been mistranslated, poorly translated, overly translated, clearly not a competent person involved on both ends of the translation. So if you ask yourself, who would ever know if I used an online translator? Well, check out some of these. By technical problems, other people's to our company is not operative the payment with tarjetas of credit. Excuse the gracias annoyances. Wow, that's a statement, ¿verdad? Here's another one. Have you downloaded any hangers lately? Bien. So those are a couple light-sided perspectives on the miscommunication that can happen when good communication doesn't happen in another language. So the next step, amigos, is to wrap up with this topic and move on and start focusing on the content of our Spanish again. But you need to complete the Blackboard quiz that's been assigned this week regarding academic integrity. Keep taking it until you achieve 100%. You have to get 100% in order to get credit on this assignment. You know, I feel really strongly about the topics I've discussed with you in this presentation because I love Spanish and I love sharing it with others, and I love to see people truly learn. If you're ever in doubt about something, just ask. I'm happy to answer your questions. I really believe that with these ideas in mind, you can experience authentic success this semester and take knowledge away from this course that will benefit you throughout your future. So, muchas gracias a todos. Buena suerte con la asignación y nos vemos. Hasta luego.